Good morning. There's other piece missing. Can't have two-part epoxy with only one part. Anyway, good morning and happy Friday. Ooh, that's good solid. Hey, Peter. Konbanwa. Niki desu ka? Obligatory first post. Nice. Good. That's pretty soft on the inside stuff. It's pretty likely I'm going to toss out the rest of this Milliput when I'm done with this. This is the very first batch I bought years ago. I've used it pretty extensively. But it's getting pretty close to dry. Domo genki desu. Genki. Doing good. As good as one can, given the crazy times we're living in. Nick, good morning. Nice. What's going on, Ray? Yeah. Some of that. Nick, Peter, Ray. There we go. All right. Morning, St. George. Right. It's like part of a sausage now. It's funny. Blade. Anyway, hope everybody's had a good Thursday. Sometime either tomorrow or next week, I'll been a lot of interesting shit going on at work. I'll fill you guys in, just not today. But I did want to talk a little bit about, and Peter might have seen it. So, Peter, I think you were on Mike Wine's Gundamonium Works' live stream on Wednesday because I heard him mention almanacs. And I know Nick is usually a usual participant there as well. So I I watched the video, and of course I texted Mike because I gave him a wrath of shit about his comments about cats because he's an asshole about that. Mike, I love you. Cats are our best friends. Yep, check it out. Yeah, I was there for a bit. So he was mentioning that he was the conversation started with him not being able to go to an IPMS event this year because it looks like one of the local IPMS events is canceled. I didn't catch exactly the reason for it. I think it might be illness or they couldn't get their hall or something like that. But what I did catch was, again, and everybody comes up and then, look, I'm not a complete apologist for IPMS. People are starting to vent some of their concerns and frustrations with IPMS. So I said to Mike, it's like, I'm going to respond a little bit to this because I couldn't be there on Wednesday to say anything. So I told him I'd respond in this form today. Yeah, you guys know I president of a chapter. We've had tremendous amount of growth. And I also believe that this is something that is happening in a number of the chapters up here in the Northeast, both with our Western Mass chapter, run by a good friend of mine, one of the guys who runs it, Don, and also the chapter up in New Hampshire. Those guys are also trying to find ways of going beyond, Plus, there's another bunch of other chapters in the region, as well as our regional coordinator. In many ways, I think that we're doing good. Are we great? No. Are we making mistakes? Yes. Are things still? It's a lot of that traditional mentality. Yes, of course. However, overall, I think things are going good. Mike brought up a situation. I guess one of the guys who was on said there was a show in Colorado that he went to, and he brought his Gundams, and I guess he's an old Gundam builder, kind of like me. He builds the old stuff. And he brought the stuff, and he was, kind of like looking forward to having it at the show. And if Mike, if you're hearing this, I know he's said he's going to watch it afterward. But if you're hearing this, and I make any mistakes in my reiterating what you said or what anybody said, please correct me. Send me a text, let me know. But the guy, I guess, brought his models, and they said, yeah, we can't judge them because we're not qualified. Basically, we don't know the category. We're not familiar enough with the category. We can't judge better. Okay. So on one hand, I agree that there has to be some level of judging expertise. But the mistake that chapter made is, instead of saying we can't judge it because we don't know the subject, it is your job as a chapter to actively go out there and find judges. Now, at every IPMS event I've ever been to at a local level, there's always a call out for judges. Hey, if you would like to judge, if you'd like to participate, we'd love your assistance. Okay, that is the norm. Okay, so if this chapter didn't do that, then, and again, maybe this is a regional thing, a local thing, I don't know, but they should have done that. They should have said, you know what? Why don't maybe do you have a friend who can judge? Do you know somebody who can judge? We'd love to get judges. Hey, would you like to participate in our club? We're looking to find ways. What they did instead, from the way it was described, was they basically stonewalled this poor guy. And he was frustrated, rightfully so. And Mike made a very astute point of, if you do that enough times, people start getting the impression you don't want us. You don't want me. You don't like what I do. I don't belong, in this little fraternity that you have. And I think that's a crying shame. So if that was indeed what was done, then yeah, that club needs to get its head out of its collective ass. Number one. And I'm not opposed to clubs, and I know there's been conversations about, clubs are closing. Look, guys, let's be honest. I think now that we're post-COVID, I think the market space is going to start to slow down. I think scale modeling is going to start to slow down. You're not going to see the same level of excitement because people are now out and about again. But I don't think that there can't be room for growth. I just don't think it's going to be there as much as it once was. At least it was in the early part of this decade. That's just me. But the point is, you don't want to start pushing people away. You should try to find ways to grow. And in fact, like correctly put, like at our club, yeah, we have outreach. We go out there. We bring people in. We've got a very healthy contingent of war gamers, figure painters, and I prefer to call them anime property builders. That's what I am. But Gundam builders or what have you. So there's a lot of that going on. This stuff is taking a while to mix. Granted, again, this stuff is old, and I apologize. So I'm going to be stuffing this stuff into the nacelles today. That's kind of what I'm doing. George is a shower and a grower. I'd like to think so, Ray. Thank you for putting it that way. So if that club did that, I would suggest to them, it's like, guys, grow up. Instead of saying we can't, first of all, you can, because you can still look at a model from a, I'm going to do this for another 7 minutes. I'm going to do this till 6:30. I'm just going to blither about this until 6:30. You can certainly judge a model. It's a model. You may not be familiar with the subject, but you can still judge it, because here's a question that came up. Accuracy versus what are the actual rules? In general, when I judge, and most of the people that I judge, we're not judging on accuracy. Accuracy is not what a model gets judged on. What a model gets judged on is fit and finish. That is the thing that people vilify IPMS for. Oh, you guys are like trying to ding a model for its construction. You're not looking at all the creativity that put into it. And the answer is no. The first thing we judge on is fit and finish. How well is the model built? Seam lines removed. If you think about like a tank, are the tank barrels aligned? If you got a tank barrel turret going one way and the barrel's off a little bit, that's a flaw in construction. You can argue whether the reasoning for how they do things is good or bad, but this is the IPMS way of doing things. Starting out with a fire and brimstone rant. How blessed with content are we? You are so lucky, Peter. You are so blessed. So anyway, the first rules of it are fit and finish. You can always judge a model on that. Now, Gundam judging, particularly new models, are hard. I got to tell you, judging the hardest models to judge, in my opinion, are Gundam, because the fit and finish of Bandai products is so good that, yeah, you have to do a couple more things, but versus a traditional model, it's a different game. So fit and finish is the first and foremost thing that you're going to have to do. And that's the thing. So here's another thing I wanted to, and that's the first point I wanted to mention to everybody. Speaking of fit and finish, can we get a new section to the live stream? Get that daily fit check. We can, if you'd like. Am I looking a little unfit? I'm feeling unfit. Man, I can't wait for the weather just to change just a little bit. I want to go do trail walking again. Now it's like, this is actually, in some ways, I don't mind when it's cold outside. I'm doing a trail walk. or trail hike. I just can't have it be completely and utterly slippery. So that's the first thing I wanted to say about the whole IPMS thing, and I hope I covered that. That no, I think that the competition made a pretty serious mistake because they basically try to push people off, and what they should have done is one, judge the models, and if better yet, actively search out for subject matter experts so that you can do that. Every show that I go to, I always volunteer to judge the Gundam categories. Okay? Why? Because of my familiarity with the subject. But I also try to bring other people in so we can show them what to look at. So I've had a number of non-Gundam builders participate with me, and they've learned quite a bit. In fact, that's what I did with car models this past fall, or armor models. I've been fortunate to kind of hang out with guys who are really good car modelers and armor modelers, and I listen to what they're saying to get right. You're a brick on a slippery trail. Yeah, no shit. I don't need that. Because the Pecon Princess needs to stick her nose in other people's competitions. Absolutely. But I only wear the tiara at home. And Ray, I will be wearing that tiara again, by the way. Gotta figure out where the fuck I put it, though. Shit, gotta find it. So the second thing I wanted to bring up about competitions, though, it's, and this one's going to be kind of like, I think, may upset a couple people, but when you go to a competition, the likelihood, don't ever think, look at all the work I put in, my model's really well made, it's got all this work put into it. All that being said, remember what I said, you're judged on fit and finish first. So you may think that you've done a terrific job, but if you got subject experts judging your models, you got 30 tanks on a table, don't automatically assume your model is the best one that's out there. Oh, my model's really good. Winning in a competition, I think there's a thought here that in a 1-2-3 style competition that I put a lot of effort in. I did a lot of great work. I looked at the other models around me. Mine was better. Based on what criteria? Now, I'm not saying the judges are perfect. That's the first thing I want to say. It's judges make mistakes. I am a remarkably imperfect judge. This is why you have a judging team. Will the tiara be prominent part of fit and check-in? It can be. If fit is outfit and swagger. Swagger. I'll just use this. Could have been plastic. So I would always caution people that if you're in a competition, okay, judges are flawed, number one, and number two, you are not a judge. If you'd like to judge and learn what to look for, then I would suggest doing that. But don't go in there thinking, I did a great job. I don't know why I didn't win. Well, sorry. You don't always win. And you're not going to walk out with a, fuck it. I don't think I'm going to do raised missiles. I might not. I might do it on the other one then instead of on this pod. But if you compete, please remember that you are competing and you got people out there who might be doing better work than you. And that's fine. Maybe the one mistake that I think competitions do make, and it's a pretty common one, is they don't ask, judges aren't there at the end usually to mention to people, to say to people, okay, so would you like to do a model review? I always offer that. Hey, I'm staying at the table at the end of the show. If anybody has any questions about what did I do, how did I do, what worked, what didn't, I'll gladly be there to answer those questions. I'm cautioned. I'm always there to do that. I know that that is not the norm with IPMS, but I think that's the disservice that competitions, not IPMS competitions, that competitions do. It's they look at, oops, got a little carried away there. They're like, we're here to judge. This is not a jury competition. It's a whatever, a judge competition, however they want to go about it. And the answer is, okay, that's fine. But if you want to help grow the hobby, then be there at the end as a judge to walk people through what worked and what didn't. There we go. It's all jammed in there. All right. So this pot has now been successfully stuffed with epoxy, and even that hole that I did has just been filled in. It is likely I will not be doing the missile pod, the raised missile pod on this one. I may do it on the other nacelle. We'll see. So to sum up, the competition was canceled, but if chapters hold competition, it is the said chapter to find and train judges to service a person is a fundamental need to grow. Absolutely. I think that's a really well stated. Yeah. Look, I'm not, first of all, good morning, Ken. How are you? I'm not saying that I'm not defending, stupidity in a chapter ever. If you don't want to bring in new blood, you don't want to bring in new people into your chapter, and then you're sitting there and saying, geez, all the guys here are starting to die off and there's nobody replacing them. What happened? God, what's going on with scale modeling? It's dying. No, you're dying and you're not allowing for the hobby to grow because you're not trying to foster the next generation. And by foster, I don't mean go out there and let me tell you how to build a World War II plane. Kids might not like that. How about this? Go out there and give them a Pokemon model. They like that, So, yeah, Peter, good summation there. But at the same time, if you're going to compete, understand it's a competition. And you may not be knowing what's going on and why you didn't win. So go find a judge and ask them, hey, can you go through my model? Not compare my model to somebody else's. I think that's an unfair thing. Tell me about why my model, where my model didn't win and how it can potentially improve. Okay. Now, a good judge will be there and kind of say, great, thanks, great question. Let's work on this. A shitty judge, again, we're humans, right? Robots aren't scale models. So says the old guard. As one of the guys on Mike's live stream said, it's like, dude, these models are from the 80s. I mean, Gundam's been around for almost 50 years. I mean, Gunpla, 45 years. Hey, Joe, good morning. Is there a Pokemon section in competition? There's usually a junior section, which is where a lot of that goes. Or depending on, like at least for our chapter, Pokemon, if done by an adult, would go into either a miscellaneous category or a possibly a Mechanon Gundam, though it's a figure. It can go into a couple different places, but can you do Pokemon? Of course you can. I would encourage you to do something special to it, but yeah. A Pokemon model. Did you really? Which one? Just practicing my grumpy old man. Yeah. Nick, I wish I would say that you were lying. So, but that's not the case. And just real quickly, I just want to end with this on accuracy. Yes, there is a big conversation always happening about accuracy. Is accuracy important? And guys, if anybody's interested, I can share with you the IPMS rules on accuracy. The answer is yes and no. Personally, I think accuracy is a load of horseshit. it is not generally considered a primary reason for why a model won't win. Oh, you used the wrong color RLM 04, yellow. No, that's not the reason. But there is some concern about things like, there's some guys justify, this is a conversation we had last year at ValleyCon, justify the reason why you use a pinkish color on this tag. To which I would respond, and I know the contestant Austin did respond, because I fucking felt like it. This is a model I made for my kid. Can't wait to enter my Pokemon in the juniors. I think you're a little too old for that. Please help me learn where I can improve. Yeah. Yes, it can go into a couple different places. It can. And it can. I think it was Groudon. Not sure the name. Like a dinosaur. Cool. I know nothing about Pokemon. But I love seeing kids building them, because it's like, man, I got to tell you, it's like the coolest thing. I'm not going to go down the pathway of juniors, but in general. So hopefully, if Mike's listening, and if he has any questions after he listens to this, he can follow up with me. But that is sort of George's take, and how we're sort of seeing it here in the Northeast. But I also think it's like, you're just, don't go in there as an expert. I know Mike has done that. It's like, I will help you judge. You should volunteer to judge. Yes, that means you might not compete. Oh, well. And help the judges out. Help being a judge. Understand that construction and fit are the first thing. Fit and finish are the first things that get judged. And if you don't win, sorry, better luck next time. It was only important according to the technical on how real you want it to look. Yes, but in competition, Joe, there is a place for accuracy, and they use there's a bullshit section in the IPMS National Competition Handbook that discusses that it's a gray area. But even in sci-fi, they're like, well, no one would ever paint. Was it sci-fi or real space or whatever it was? Yes, it was. I can't remember which one. You wouldn't paint the space shuttle as an all black model. And then my answer is, you could. Why wouldn't you? There's no place for pink in war, son. Exactly. Very true. Yeah, close-minded people. All right. Both the cells have been stuffed. So we can wait for those to dry. And we're now going to continue on with with these little doodads. But first, let's I have to wash this thing too. You're soaking in it. Does anybody remember that at all? I use that all the time. Old man yells at clouds and sky. Russian sniper had a pink flower in his helmet. Tell me again, pink in war? Oh, yeah. But not on tanks, Joe. God forbid, not on tanks. Black spaceship seems perfect in terms of camouflage. Exactly. That's my point. It's like there's accuracy and then there's accuracy. We've had the conversation internally at our chapter. As an example, if you decided to paint a P40 and do it in pink and blue and maybe like do rainbow colors, well, would that necessarily be put into the standard? Let's say it's a 148 scale prop World War II plane. Would you put it in there, or would you put it in a miscellaneous category? I'd say you put it into the standard category. There are people who are like, yeah, but some of the judging does cross over into it's a World War II plane. It should be in World War II finishes. I would argue against that. People would argue for. That's going to be a long-term conversation that's going to not be resolved until the old guard die. But if you do let's say you did what's a good example? If you guys remember, I snapped together a couple years ago the Shiro which was the plane used in what's the name of the movie? The anime movie 1989. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Basically about the astronaut corps in on this other world, an astronaut corps that's getting ready to launch a ship while two sides are going to war. The planes in those, if I decide to put that, well, it's a 148 scale plane. Can I put it in a 148 scale plane category? Well, they'd probably say, well, probably not, because it's a sci-fi thing. I can argue it either way. You're Greek. Of course you use palm olive. No, Greeks use Windex. I don't know why, but for a Greek, I always sound Russian. All right, let's do the next one here. What do we got here? What did I say? Yeah, we know the width. What I forgot to do. Did I forget to do that? Give me a second, guys. I wrote information down. I may have given the incorrect. Let's see. This is a total of. It's not 8.64. How did I come up with that one? Oh, I know why. Because this is 8.64, I bet. 8.5. Yes, that's it. 8.5. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. I'm okay. In fact, let me break out this tool. You're still doing Thursday nights, George? I totally forgot. I have not. I planned on doing it last night. However, left work late, had to go grocery shopping and get dinner going. By the time I got home and got everything started, it was like 7:45. So I did not have an opportunity to do so. Will I return to doing that? The answer is yes. Sorry, guys. Let me just draw this out real quickly. At least you're not in DK. We have one big model building competition here, and last year there were 92 competitors from DK and surrounding countries. Here, the hobby is actually small. Yeah, but you guys also have, and again, Peter, question for you. Is that for Gundam or is that for scale modeling in general? Because you guys also have not in Denmark, but you have in Brussels, I think. You have one of the largest scale model shows out there in SMC. Glasses. Scale model competition. And that is a world-class level show. There we go. Something tells me that ain't 100% right, but let's take a peek. Side by side. Too low. Okay, we're going to get started on it. You know, it's funny. I picked up this tool thinking it'd be pretty beneficial because you have the ability to adjust the height of the plastic that you're working on. Actually, see if you can see this. can see it going up and down, but I'm finding actually I don't like it as much. I prefer my old wave, though it's got one specific flat or thickness, but I like this one. Let's see. It is scale modeling in general. Yeah, but Brussels, yes, I know it's in another country. I do understand that. But my point is that you guys also have smaller countries, and probably, how far is it to Brussels from you? Well, not now, but when you're back in Denmark. Let's grind away. One a day is all I ask. All right, just check the angle of the dangle. Go up a little further than that line. Okay. Let's see. It is in general. Yeah, but Brussels is another country. So 7 days still. Let's see if we can do it in 5. Let's see. Maybe I can do 2 in a day. Right now, not so much. Okay, so far so good. This is probably not funner for you, but it's certainly for me. So I could 3D print these things, but how much fun would that be? Being able to hand make these things still is what makes this hobby so much more enjoyable for me. Do I think I'm going to be getting into a 3D printer at some point? Yes. I think the writing's on the wall in that regard. But it's got a lip. Okay. That's short dry, Pete. I was going to say funnerer. Oh, yeah, funnerer. It's a good word. Copyrighted, by the way. I gave up on mine, sold it to a friend on the cheap end, and was a resin printer, very smelly. Yeah, I don't want resin. I that's not what I want. I want a filament printer. No, I'm good with filament is fine. At some point, will I get resin? Maybe. But for now, filament is fine. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty good. Start the other side. Pretty not good. Let me get this thing. Okay. Just a bit better. Oh, sorry. Funner or copper. Exactly. So at 600, at 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles. If memory serves, that's like, I mean, we're doing it at the end of February. We're going to be going down to ODO, which is the same thing. I believe it's from Boston to Washington, D.C. It's going to be about that same distance if memory serves. It's a haul. But at the same time, you get to genuinely see some world-class shit. For what you will do, yes, the resin is more for the advanced setup, which you don't have space for anyways. Into the lion's den. I could make the space, Joe. It's just I just don't want the complexity of resin. You know, frankly, if it comes down to that, I would rather just say, hey, who can resin print me something? I've got a few people who can do that. In fact, I've had that happen. So I don't really, like I said, I'm looking more of it for making a couple of things, especially now with some of these filament printers getting pretty damn good. I saw that figure here. Austin printed me a figure that was pretty freaking tiny and pretty small, and the detail on it was really good. Yes, do you need to do some cleanup? Yep. Five. 3.5? Yeah, 3.6. Front end should be 3.6 millimeters. Like this one here, I'll probably round down, but I'll round that one down once I get to that phase. This one here, I can tell is pretty off right now. It's messy. Resonance complexity, filament adds, layer lines, pick your poison. Exactly. And I'll take the layer lines for right now. I mean, I'm not doing super fine detailed stuff. I'm also not looking to, at this point, create my own stuff. I'm looking to basically replicate, print whatever is out there that might be used. I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking to become a designer of 3D stuff. But like that magnetic clamp thing that I talked to you guys about, that I'm being creative, no Zaku boy made, something like that. I don't need a resin printer for something like that. All right. All right, flip. How's it looking? It's looking pretty good. Got to get these heights correct. Okay, I think we got a second one done. That's a little too high. I have big tanks and hotter nozzle attempts to stop that now, Peter. And it's gotten better, Joe, but have not eliminated. Yeah, it's not eliminated. To Peter's point, pick your poison. Okay. Place these on top of each other. How they looking? Kind of hard to tell. Pretty damn close. Close enough that I don't think it's going to be a problem. All right, before I go, I'm just going to round this one here. Rounded. 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 All right, how's it looking from this side? Yeah, not bad. I'll show you guys. Let me show you. Let me show you. Hotter nozzle equals streamer. Yeah, that's a pretty terrible name. I had Tim Resin print me a 3-wheel car like 2 years ago. Not to realize, as he didn't print the suspension for it now, so now I have to buy a resin printer. That's what I told the wife at least. Honey, I gotta do this now. It's incomplete. I gotta do this. Right. Well, my 3D Access 3D printers. Okay, 20K is not anyone's budget here. The first 3D printer I ever saw was how long ago was it? 2001, when I was working for a speaker manufacturer, and they were 3D printing drivers. Basically, laser into a resin bath kind of thing. And that machine was millions. Now, of course, you can do a lot of that prototyping for a couple $1,000s. Crazy how much things change. There we go. Turn it over a little bit so we don't got that line looking at us. Perfect. No, but it'll do. And that is in relation. The one I just dropped. To that one right there. So put them side by side. That's what we got. Good enough for my needs. So I'll continue to make a bunch of these. I got 6 more to make. It'll be good. Six more of those to make. All right. And with that, my friends, toss out that resin. The epoxy. A guitar pick. Kind of looks like it. Tiny guitar pick for tiny fingers. Let's see. 3D. All right, my friends. Stay safe and stay sane, everybody. Thanks for being on this morning. I do appreciate it. Tune in next week when we finish those things. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we'll get them done. Guys, speaking of tomorrow, it's going to be a longer session than our weekday session, but it's probably not going to be a full one. Going to get ready to go down to Connecticut to watch my daughter cheer on the women's basketball team at her university. So we will be on, but it'll be shorter. So probably wrapping up, between 6 and 7:30, be wrapping up at 7:30-ish, and be going from there. But anyway, guys, do me a favor. Go out there and do good. Dangerous place right now that we're living in. The world is, in my time, and I lived through the potential for a nuclear attack. In my time, I've never seen this level of danger in the world. And I think the reason for this is because we've lost our ability or forgotten our ability to show kindness and love to others. Go out there and do that. Be respectful to others. If they're different from you, it doesn't matter. Just do good and be kind. Whoever the other is, they're not your enemy. Okay? They're your brother. They're your sister. Do good. Show kindness and love. Love you all. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Peace. Gives test before you. Yes. Well put, Peter. Peace, brothers.